Okay, hi guys. I'm freaking out right now. First of all, it's VEDA day 21. Um, there may be a Bones spinoff, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know tonight's episode was sort of introducing that, and I can't figure out if I'm like so excited or so freaked out that they're gonna screw it up. But if none of you please know what Bones is. Bones is this fantastic, wonderful kind of murder mystery show with David Boreanaz and Emily Deschanel. And it's so good, but like the writer has constantly teased us with if they're gonna get together or not. And I don't know if he wants them to, but like so many fans want him to, and it's driving me crazy because it's like the first spin-off that I would actually watch and actually have a clue on what's going on, because like all the Grey's Anatomy spin-offs, I really wasn't interested in them because I didn't know much about Grey's Anatomy. Same thing with like Jersey Shore and all the things they're planning. So I've never had a reason to want to watch a spinoff, but this is Bones, and I'm like kind of freaking out. I don't know. It's interesting. That was actually not the point of the video today that I was gonna do, but I just found out and my brain was exploding, so I had to share it with you guys because it's really exciting. Anyway, the topic that I was going to talk about was the answer to the Schnuz. He had a question for me of if I could be sent back in time by an alien to a time before 1840, what would it be? And what kind of job or occupation, would I want to have? Problem is, before 1840, women weren't really allowed that many jobs. Seamstresses, maids, that kind of thing. They weren't even really allowed into universities or really acknowledged for that kind of thing until like the 1920s, or at least the 1900s. I am not used to 1840s history and before then. Obviously, I know about like how my country was formed and the wars that happened and what happened, but I'm so obsessed with like the Victorian era and the 1920s and the 60s and the World Wars that I never really looked back further. But I was peeking around online on Google and such for things that happened then. And I think it was 1931 that I wanted. I'm looking at my laptop if you can't see it. 1937. Charles Dickens published Oliver Twist in 1837. And I know that's just a single event, but Charles Dickens is amazing to me. I've read his books from when I was a little kid to now when I'm an adult, and I still enjoy them, and I still enjoy the stories, and he's a classic. I mean, how many of the Christmas specials have been off Scrooge and that kind of thing, and the Christmas Carol. So I mean, he's just so well known and so inspiring, and I don't know, inspires so many people, or at least used to. I'm pretty sure they still do. But in 1837, he published Oliver Twist, and it's like that thing where I want to meet authors now and want to just sit down and talk to them, and I would love to do that. And really, I don't know how women were treated, like, period, during that time. So I don't know if they'd be like, what, you can't get in and talk to Charles Dickens, or if he was really that popular even at the time. But assuming that an alien could even bring me back in time, I'm sure he could fiddle with something that I was able to like be in Charles Dickens' I don't know, cafe or house or whatever and just talk to him, because he's just such a great writer. And I mean, sure, there's books that I enjoy more, but to think that at this time, when there weren't a ton of ideas already from books, like now books and movies, there's the train, plots just aren't really as unique or original anymore, because there's been so much time that everyone can write and everyone can think up an idea that's normally just by odds like another story that's already been written. So that Charles Dickens created these stories that nobody had heard about, that nobody had really thought about or studied or anything, is incredible. And I would love to talk to him about how he did Oliver Twist and everything, and like any books he was planning to write, and such like that. Again, I have no idea what jobs women were allowed to hold back then. I originally was going to say the Renaissance for this answer, but that would be even worse because of and that would have been in Britain because I like it best there. But I know like the living quarters and everything, and the living conditions there were terrible. And like what they were throwing out the window, and how the streets were, and like how the Black Death came along and everything. So even past that, for the Renaissance, I was thinking of the way a job would be for me now, because I come from a pretty well-off family. So saying that those conditions were brought back with me to the time that I asked to be in, I wouldn't be poor. I probably wouldn't be middle class. But being rich, I'd probably have a lot of nobles scoffing down at me because I'm very skinny. And back then, that was like, what's wrong with you? You can't bear children because you don't eat, or you're not of good size. So I probably wouldn't get very very well along in that generation, in that era. So really with Charles Dickens and, the 1830s and, close to the 1840s, I really don't know what I would be able to do. I would honestly probably be a maid if I could find a way to do that. It's not exactly a job that I would want, but I think that's the best bet that I'd have. Seamstress maybe, but since my hands do this, and there was mirroring, of course, back then it would be really hard for me. So I don't really know many jobs back then. I'm sorry, I can't tell you that part. But that's my long-winded answer. I'm sorry, I've been sort of ranting tonight, but this bone spin-off thing has been making me crazy because I don't know what to think. So my brain's kind of occupied, and it's been occupied on the topic, on the time travel thing, but you mix my brain together with certain excitements, and all the topics just muddle together, especially at night. So that's my answer, and that's my video for the day. Happy April 21st. And I will see you guys tomorrow. We're almost done with VEDA. That's so sad. There is a cat hair there. Sorry. Anyway, that's my video. So, bye guys.